production stuff done for some client podcasts. Don't know if any of you are podcasters, podcast producers, podcast hosts, etc., but I'll talk my way through what I'm doing. So here's what I'm doing. I have 3 different podcasts that I have recorded or are ready to produce for my client, my B2B client. The crux of the interviews and everything are recorded, but what I do need to do is record custom intros, outros, etc., some transitions. So typically what I do, I work off a run of show document. I actually thought about that too. I think I might provide my template for a run of show document. It's like the easiest thing ever, but it's made for people, so that way they don't have to go make it themselves. But and I don't really care. People should have that. If it leads to better podcasts and stuff, cool. So here's what I'm doing. I am using a mixture of Riverside and Descript. So Riverside is where I record podcasts. So right now I'm going into, once a recording's in Riverside, I'm going to go into the actual recording and I find points. What I'm doing is I'm trying to like find key points where I'm like, okay, what do I need to make sure this custom thing is about? So I'll talk you through it. So first thing I'm doing is I'm in for this guest. I recorded on the 15th. I need, actually, let me back out of that because I need the show notes. Like, so Riverside's pretty cool in that it will give you a show notes thing for something you're recording. It gives you keywords, it gives you a summary, it gives you takeaways, titles, sound bites, and even chapters for the whole episode, which is cool. All of these things are important and should be used. What I do is I take the summary, so I'm going to grab that here. Here's what it says. In this conversation, Rachel Moore interviews Dan Bolton, the head of marketing at Wealth.com, discussing the significance of micro events in modern marketing strategies. Dan shares insights on how to effectively plan and execute micro events, the balance between large and small events, and the role of AI enhancing event planning. He emphasizes the importance of clarity and mission, the power of possibility, and the need for continuous improvement in event process experiences. Blah, 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 blah. So that gives me what I need. It knows the whole conversation, right? But I'm going to go dump that in my run of show document because I've got this whole canned intro I do where I say like the same 2 sentences every time, but then I have a custom part of the intro that gets into like, well, who am I talking to and why does this matter to you? So what I just read to you is not written in my voice, so I need to write it in my voice. So let's see. Carrying on the conversation from the episode about micro events, the last episode, the previous episode about micro events in AI, we get a chance to expand on that topic with Dan Bolton, with webinar panelist, because he was on a webinar, Dan Bolton, the head of marketing at Wealth.com. Dan shares insights on how to effectively plan and execute how he and his team effectively plan and execute micro events, how they balance, they and other event planners like you can balance between large and small events, and the role of AI in enhancing your event planning. Like, he gave some really good dish, so it was good. We also touch on the power of hospitality. In executing your next event experience. I always try to incorporate the title of the show in the last phrase of the intro. In executing your next amazing event experience. Amazing. I say amazing way too much too. You're getting all the behind the scenes here. I have no idea if anyone's going to find this interesting. We'll see. All right, so next thing I need is I have a canned ad break in. I always say we'll be right back with more event experience after the break. Ad break out, I always do a sentence that, hey, this is what we're about to talk about. So now I'm going to go back into where I was. I'm going to go into I don't want the magic episode. I want the actual recording. Edit. Okay, so now I'm going to go, and so all I'm doing is looking at the timeline for the whole episode. And usually the record time is anywhere between, this is about 43 minutes. So I'm going to find wherever is roughly around the half point, maybe a little before that, because I do, when I produce this, I take the final questions, the get to know you questions, I put those up right after the whole intro. So those kind of run so people get a sense of who this person is before we get into the guts of the interview. So I need to find, knowing that I'm going to move that from the end to the beginning, the first segment, I need to try to find a halfway point that'll match up. So let's see. So we've got complementing big events with micro events, planning your first micro event. So I am gonna drop the cursor there. All right, let's see. Let's see, that's super relevance too. So now I'm just trying to find a good break where I transition. Just talk about receptor. Let's see. It's very important when you brought up there too. We were just talking offline before we recorded about September's history this month. All time. Okay, no, I remember that's exactly as people listening to listeners. Let's imagine for any of our listeners. Okay, with that, okay, here we go. Let's imagine for any of our listeners who have not yet done a micro event, but they know it's coming. And okay, perfect. So that's going to be the halfway point. So I'm going to add a chapter here in Riverside, so I know that's a halfway point. Just a little note for myself, really. Halfway for ad break. Always good to leave notes for yourself. Big fan of notes. That's at 1904. So I'm going to put that. I have this little thingy here. This is Dan Bolton. Put ad break at 1904. And then, so the next thing I can find, and this is where transcribing is glorious, because every episode I ask people to leave, to give a piece of advice for the event planner audience that is listening or watching. So now all I need to do is look for the word advice. Let's see. Here we go. What would that piece of advice be? Dan says, I would say, my ear is ringing right now. That's lovely. So I'm going to add a chapter there so I know that's where it is. Skill up section. Okay. And backspace over that. 3125 is where that's happening. Sweet. 3125. All right. Cool. But now what is his, so I need the ad breakout. So now I actually need to go back in here. I did this a little bit out of order. So what does he say? You got to expand your horizons, travel, go to amazing concerts, try really great food. He's like, okay. So Dan invites us all to skill ourselves up by letting ourselves out of our own world, microcosms, and into the wider world. Cool. That is, oh God, I just see, this is what's happening. I'm doing this with you guys. And okay, so put that there. Go back to the ad break here. Ad break. Plenty of halfway ad break. Okay. Now we're back with Dan Bolton. Let's see. And any event planner, any of our listeners, any fans, any of our podcast fans who are about to plan their first micro event. All right, and then thank you to guest Dan Bolton. Okay, actually, I'll show you guys what I'm doing. Sorry about that. So this is my, pardon me, this is my run a show. It's, like I said, it's super simple. I'll probably make this so people can like get it if they want. It's a Google Doc, y'all. This can be Word doc, whatever. It's literally just tables in a Word doc, but I have it laid out and I follow this like every time. I share this with my guests, and I pretty much follow it. And then down here is my script, and I just keep it all in the same document because that makes it easy of what I need to then record. So everything down here from custom intro on down is what I need to record for post-production so that we can get this edited. So rather than bore you with doing this again, I will now record that. So this will be funny because I'll be looking up here and I'll be recording knowing that I'm doing this live on YouTube at the same time, and hopefully I'm probably going to mess up. Okay, so what I do is, since this episode's still in Riverside, why not go ahead and create that same intro outro in there? So I'm going to, in Riverside, I'm going to say I'm going to create a recording in this project for Dan Bolton. I'm going to get my little microphone over here. So it's here. You're going to have it covering my chin a little bit because, well, you're lower down. I'm using my headphones. What's fun is I've got my ear monitor, in-ear monitor for my microphone, and my switcher over here, and y'all are in this one for my phone. But nobody knows that except you. So those of you just watching now, I am about to record the ins and outs. This is post-production for a podcast I recorded last week, and I'm going to now do the ins and outs. Now, I'm using Riverside. Riverside has a lovely thing called a teleprompter, which I'm going to use. So now I'm going to go dump all that in there. The fun part about this is getting the pacing right. If any of you have ever operated a teleprompter, is, in my opinion, one of the most stressful things to do in a studio environment, because everyone's different and everyone speaks at a different cadence, and you know that you're trying it so that they can read ahead without feeling panicked. The pacing is everything. And so what's funny with this is I've got a pacing. Now I'm in control of this, so it's a little bit different. Here, and I'll show you what I'm doing. Ready? All right, so I'll pop that up. Flip the script here. So here's what I'm doing. I'm in my Riverside. Actually, I need to name that. So Rachel. Hold on. I think I already have this in here. Rachel ins and outs. Yay. So I'm recording in here, and notice that it's got an overlay in here. And usually what I like to do is I don't like that overlay there. My webcam is right there. See at the top of my monitor? I want it to be as close to that as possible. So I always pop this out and pop this over here, because I don't need to look at myself while I'm doing this. But also let me do this so I can pull this down. I hate when my windows resize. I know I can change that as a setting. There's me. Hi. But what I need is this. So that's what is going to pace itself out. And now I'm going to change the timing to, usually I'm right around 120s, 120, 129. Let's give it that. So now if I hit play, that's still super fast. It's not doing it correctly. Let's try that again. No, dude. Why are you going so freaking fast? Okay, whatever. Try it again. That still feels really fast. Anyway, but that's how I do it. So right now, that is what I'm about to do. I'm going to hit record. I'm going to do that in a second. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and record, and then Erickson, my guy who helps me with post-production, can say hi to y'all. So this is Riverside. You can see my studio in there and everything too. Hi, Erickson. I'm doing a little live short on my YouTube channel of a behind the scenes of me recording this. So please pardon my thing being up here, but now I'm going to flip this back so now you guys can see me and how cringy this is. Okay, ready? All right, so looking good, sounding good. Oh, let me just auto level my things here a bit. So I use, I'm going to flip this again. I use a Focusrite for my microphone. My microphone's hooked there, and I'm about to hit that auto button so that it can auto level me so I don't sound outrageously loud. Carrying on the conversation from the previous episode about micro events and AI, we get a chance to expand on that topic with webinar panelist Dan Bolton, the head of marketing at wealth.com. Dan shares insights. Okay, so now I know that 10 seconds is done. It's auto leveled me, so it should sound nice. Erickson can attest. All right, so let me go to my teleprompter. I'm recording, and now I'm going to record. Here we go. Should be fun. Let's hydrate before we dehydrate. All right. I'm in school again right now. I know. Hey, thanks for watching. And hey, Omar. All right. I won't talk to you in chat now because I'm going to actually record this so that poor Erickson doesn't have to edit this out. Okay, ready? Here we go. Welcome to Event Experience by Bizzabo, the podcast where we bring the best and brightest event experience leaders together to share stories, tips, and lessons learned from creating some of the world's biggest events. I'm Rachel Moore, your podcast host. Carrying on the conversation from the previous episode about micro events and AI, we get a chance to expand on that topic with webinar panelist Dan Bolton, the head of marketing at wealth.com. Dan shares insights on how he and his team effectively plan and execute micro events, how they and other event planners like you can balance large and small events, and the role of AI in enhancing your event planning. We also touch on the power of hospitality in executing your next amazing event experience. Okay, so that's the intro. Then I do a canned ad break in. We'll be right back with more event experience after the break. Then I do ad break out. We're back with Dan Bolton and any of our podcast fans who are about to plan their first micro event. Okay, and then the Skill Up intro. All right. Dan invites us all to skill ourselves up by letting ourselves out of our own microcosms and into the wider world. And finally, the custom outro. This is the long one. I guess the intro is long too. Thanks again to Dan Bolton for joining us on Event Experience, and thank you for listening. If you're enjoying the show, we'd love to hear it. Connect with us on social and subscribe, rate, and review us wherever you're listening. Also, don't forget to share the show with your colleagues and friends. You can find transcripts of each episode and key takeaways on bizzabo.com/podcast. On behalf of the team, thank you. We'll gather again soon for a new episode of Event Experience. And that, friends, is that. Thanks, Erickson, for putting up with me doing that on a live. Talk to you later. Okay, so I just hit stop record. But that's that. So now what I've got, it's saving that recording in the same... I love that this didn't show up until just now. Saving that recording in the same Riverside project as the recording itself. So as the interview rather. So now for post-production, in that same link, there's everything you need pretty much. Now what happens is both those files are going to get taken over to Descript. Why do I do that? I like Descript better than Riverside for overall more intricate, refined podcast editing. Riverside works fine. I actually use Riverside for my monthly unmuted newsreel. I've been trying to make sure, because they add features and whatnot, but I also don't have Enterprise Edition. I have your normal, whatever, $20 to $30 a month subscription that I do. I think if I paid for more, I'd get some more bells and whistles. It's a lot more, and it's just a non-starter for me out of my budget. Whereas Descript is like $30 a month, which is less than it would be to increase way less than it would be to go up to Enterprise and Riverside, the way it is right now. That might change. So that's where we're at right now. But yeah, I basically bring Riverside does great recording, but then we bring it over to Descript to do. And Descript is nice too because we have all these templates in there for this particular show, and I have that for different shows too, where it's a lot easier to say apply a style of a scene to the recording, and it automatically formats it. It's glorious. So that's where we do all of our post-production. Rather our assembly, if you will, and fine-tune editing into Script. And then we finish all that, and they make social clips as well. I'd love to hear from any of you if you prefer Riverside or Descript or some other third thing, fourth thing, fifth thing, whatever. These are not the only tools out there. I actually now have Adobe Audition that I'm paying for with my Adobe Creative Cloud for another client. I might try that out too and see what it's like in there. Descript is great because it does let you edit by way of transcript. It's super easy. And has a lot of, like I said, cool things in there. But yeah, so that is the behind the scenes. I'm not going to take you through the whole post-production process, but now you know every time that I record an episode, an interview, there's all that other stuff I have to do that kind of creates the package. And so thanks for sitting along with me on this. Hope it wasn't too boring. I saw that a message was held for review, which makes me laugh. Somebody probably, I don't know, being YouTubey. But yeah, let me know. I am probably going to try to put out a run of show, podcast episode run of show template in case people find that interesting. But thanks for sitting with me, and I hope you have a great day. I'm going to head over, and I have another 2 episodes to do where I need to get these intros and outros recorded so we can finish the production process for these episodes. Have a great day. Let me know how you thought about this video, and I will see y'all soon. Bye.